This conference will now be recorded.
So I would like to call the Joint Review Board TIF number 3 and number 5 meeting to order for Wednesday, September 1st. Roll call, please.
Village President Kudowski.
Here.
Bob Matthews.
Here.
Jerry Starch.
Here.
Chad's not here yet. Kurt Wires.
Here.
And then Brian. Are you,
No, just
You're not a member?
it's all.
Yep.
okay.
Okay, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remember all the men and women throughout the world in uniform, especially the world lately. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve.
So moved, Bob.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. Kurt.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, action items. 4A, review proposed territory amendment number 2 for TID number 5. Hey, Aaron.
First of all, thank you to all for getting together on rather short notice. I apologize for that. We'll certainly make sure our meeting agendas are got out to you much sooner next time, but thanks again. What we're proposing to do is add territory to our TID number 5, which you see up on the screen. TID number 5 was established back in 2015, primarily this area right in here. And then in 2018, the Expo Center practice fields were added, as well as the stadium, Green Bay packaging, and 2 vacant parcels that were down here. When we did the 2018 plan, we had a number of projects that were, I guess, in the hopper, so to speak, that had approvals, were ready to go. Then COVID kind of took the wind out of the sails of a number of those projects. That said, TID 5 is still in good shape overall. It's just a matter of us looking at a way to amend the boundaries to further redevelopment of the former Menard site, the corner of 41 and Wabi or Nida Street, as depicted in the following map. We're not proposing any new projects in the amendment. This is strictly a territory amendment only. What I'm looking at adding is using the CN rail right-of-way. There's no value associated with that from a property tax standpoint, which is why it's beneficial to use that. Connecting to the vacant former Howard Johnson Airport Holiday Inn property right here. The former, this is the Bergstrom Subaru here on the corner. And then this is the Broadway Collision Center and some vacant property up here along Ashland. Continuing south along the railroad right-of-way to WPS. Again, there's no increment associated with that. Connecting through the Naval Reserve property with no increment. Connecting these 2 properties here to be on the southeast corner of the interchange. It's a Subway and used car dealership. Connecting eventually to the former Menards property right here. It's a little odd looking. We put the amendment together, basically try to minimize the amount of additional tax increment that we gathered into the existing TID. Understanding that there's a 12% statutory limit on what can be within a TID and what cannot be. For background, we have 3 current TIDs in the village. We have TID 4 in the southern part of the village, TID 3 through the center and northern part of the village, and then TID 5, the kind of Lambeau Field redevelopment area up in there. As a village, we are planning on closing out TID number 4 next year. hopefully realize the growth in that district, benefit the village as well as the overlying taxing jurisdictions. This meeting is really just for discussion purposes of the proposal. Following this, it does go to the Planning Commission for a resolution and public hearing. Then it goes to Village Board, and then it does come back to the Joint Review Board for official action. I do have a schedule laid out that I'll be sure to send over to you. I guess with that, I'll probably hand it off to Brian if you had anything to add. And Brian Rugel is our consultant with Baird, who's certainly been instrumental in putting this together.
Oh, thank you. Any questions on what Aaron?
Sure. There's no opinion on this. Oh, I get a little feedback. I don't know how to stop that.
Oh, that's chat.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know me, I always have questions. So one of my questions is, I mean, this is I've never seen one done quite this way before. But the reach up to the Bergstrom, I mean, that lot's already developed on the corner of, right across from Hobby Lobby. I mean, there's really no need to redevelop that area, correct? Because you have a brand new state-of-the-art dealership in there. I think they're selling Subarus, if I'm not mistaken. I understand that the Keen's property there in the corner, that's been vacant forever. Across the street, the old Round Table Real Estate, I mean, that makes sense. But really the Bergstrom one, I'm not sure why you would include that. And then my other question is just more of a technical. So as long as it's connected to a road, it doesn't have to be contiguous, just on the drawing. This is the first time I've seen this, and it's just interesting.
You did receive the packet, correct? Just to make sure. Chad, did you receive the packet? I just want to make sure you did have the maps were included in that, correct?
I am looking through my emails right now. I'm looking at the map that's up on the screen right now.
Right. I just want to make sure as you did receive it prior to this meeting. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, I have a similar question. I'm not sure what the role of bringing Bergstrom in. I mean, you don't need it to keep it contiguous because it looks like you're using the railroad to create the connectivity. So I'm just curious, what is the thought behind pulling Bergstrom into this? I mean, is there some type of agreement? Is there some type of recuperation of their investment? And I mean, after the fact, I'm just curious why they're in.
We have no agreements in place with Bergstrom at all. If the Joint Review Board is comfortable with it, I can certainly remove it from the map.
Aaron, I'm not saying you should do one or the other. I was just kind of curious what the theory was behind it, because it's currently developed. And then my other question is more of like technical, and Aaron, I apologize if this is actually addressed in that packet. But usually the ones I've seen, that there's actually some line to the parcel, and I've never seen it where it actually jumps way off. Like the Menards one, obviously something has to be done there. That thing's been an eyesore for a long time. I just don't know how you, like, are you going up a street then and over? I was just kind of curious, and it was more of a technical question. I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. That was just a question.
Sure. And from the Menards property, actually, it just crosses the right of way for the interchange, and you can certainly cross the right of ways with the TIF boundary.
Oh, okay. So there doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be delineated yellow on this map. It's just known that you can do that. For like an average person, they see this and it looks like you're just doing like 1, 2, 3, 4 spot TIFs.
Oh, sure. No, understand that. And we can certainly put a boundary lines to show the connections, if that'd be helpful.
So then, just out of curiosity, then how do you get to the Bergstrom one? You go on the highway and then you just follow you go to the railroad and you just follow the roadway right away up to Bergstrom?
Right, and yeah, it's an odd one. Like I said, we certainly can take that out. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and again, I'm not, and don't get my intentions wrong, and I'm not trying to be a needler. It was just more of a educational for my purposes, because this is the first time I've seen something like this.
Sure. Yeah, we have so much, there's so many interchanges with large right-of-way areas. It does look a little different than what you typically see. But yeah, the right-of-ways do kind of show they create these almost like gaps, when in reality, because it's right-of-way, it doesn't actually count.
No, thanks for answering that. And if you had any additional reasons why you put the Bergstrom in there, it'd be interesting to kind of know a little bit more about that. Or if you want to call me after, that's fine.
Sure.
So
yeah.
do you need Bergstrom in to make this work or not? And it may be technically you have to have that to make it all work together. I'm just curious.
Sure. No, I appreciate the question. To make this amendment work, no, we don't. To add to the health of TID 5, it certainly helps out, because those projects that fell through due to COVID is what we're looking at.
Oh, so you're looking for the increment to help boost the overall TID.
Correct.
And then as a side note of that to Aaron, or I think the administrators, I can't really see very well on my computer, but how have you seen like a decrease in interest in Ashwaubenon over COVID? Are you seeing strong interest and growth, or what? Just
very strong interest. What the issue is with TID 5, it being a redevelopment TIF, there's a lot of blight that has to be cleaned up on the front end. So there's a lot of costs involved that we incurred through property acquisition, environmental remediation, that puts that TID into the red initially. Our projections still bring us out into the black, but it's at the far end of the timeline. So if there's a way for us to try to accelerate that and close this TID earlier, we certainly want to do that. But that's kind of where we're at this point. But overall interest is still strong. It's just when you have TIDs that are redevelopment and redevelopment in those redevelopment TIFs, you have high front end costs, and that's what we're dealing with. It's much easier to develop in a farm field than it is in a number of very small industrial parcels.
For some of those of you that were at our annual joint review board meeting, we had this conversation briefly with you, just on a conceptual basis, that just that notion alone, just to make sure that TID 5 can maintain viability and appropriate cash flow. Now, of course, we can manage the cash, but just having that added increment in value improves our ability to provide the economic development that is necessary for this area. If we're going to pick up the Menard site in order to develop that and make this TID work, that additional increment is necessary to support that effort.
So it is necessary, essentially. I mean, it's not to make it contiguous, but to make the investment viable in the Menard space and just to help in other areas. That's why you're adding Bergstrom.
Correct.
And what do you take the valuation back to? I mean, does it go back to when the TID started? You get to take it back to its initial incremental value, or do you have to take it where it's at right now?
Brian?
That would be, Bob, where it is at right now.
Okay. So it hasn't hit the books yet?
Correct.
Correct.
So that's why the clock's running on this. So if we don't do it now, you lose that increment because it'll go up to where it started, and that doesn't help you in any way. That impacts 12% and everything else, right?
The 12% test that's shown in that project plan, that is as of the most recent increment information from the DOR.
Right, but it does not include Bergstrom. So if you waited a year, it would go up significantly, right?
Absolutely correct.
Right, so that's why time is of the essence. All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
So I think the only thing I can just comment on, most of it's been mentioned, the project plan strictly is the project plan just for the amendment of the territory amendment purpose. That's all that's in the project plan, is we're just doing that Nothing else is changing. As Aaron mentioned, no more additional costs are being added to the projects in the TID. So we've done the 12% test, which is included in the plan. And then I think Aaron touched base on the cash flow projection pro forma that's in there that shows it does cash flow right at the end of the TIF.
Correct.
So it's a very probably simplistic project plan than what you're used to from a creation standpoint, because it's strictly an amendment for territory.
So what do you anticipate happening with that Menards property? Is there a significant investment that you're going to have to make? I mean, again, a lot of these properties are vacated. So are you anticipating that you're going to need to spend a lot to make them viable properties?
We certainly hope not. The point we're trying to make with TID 5 is really to reduce any expenditures and maximize our revenues, quite honestly. Now, if someone came forward with a large project on the Menard site and we can responsibly, from a financial standpoint, support it in some way to get it over the but for a TID incentive, it may not happen. Or if we have to do some road work or utility work in that area, I think we have to evaluate that, weighed against the overall financial health of the TID.
Okay.
One item that just came to my attention this morning is that the former Microtel building was sold. It's immediately to the west of the Menard site on Allied. It might be something that makes sense to include in this because my understanding is that it's going to be torn down. But we have to evaluate that against the 12% threshold, and it's just something I just want to put out there, and just for your thoughts, I just want to put it out there in case we do want to make that change at some point. So when you get to the final GRB meeting, it's not a surprise if it's in there.
Okay, any other questions, discussion? Okay.
I guess just in terms of timeline, the public hearing and plan commission meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 7th. And then we're planning on the final, our village board will be on the 28th of September. And final GRB meeting would be on Tuesday, October 5th. Is there a certain time that works best for the committee members?
Aaron, I can have if Keith is planning on being back, that means, does that matter from
Brian, from a technical standpoint, Kurt is sitting in for Keith Lucius right now. Mm-hmm. If Keith is back for the 8th, is that fine?
Sure, no problem at all.
Okay.
Oh, the 5th, I'm sorry, the 5th.
Yes, the 5th.
Yeah.
I have the 8th on here.
Does 12:30 work generally?
Yes, it does.
All right, we'll plan on that then. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you run that date back by me again? I apologize.
Oh, you bet. It'll be Tuesday, October 5th at 12:30 p.m.
And Terry's going to Keith, right?
Pardon?
Terry's going to pass on that info. I'll pass it on to Keith, but Terry's on the packet to Keith, correct?
Yes. Yep. Right. We did.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, discussion? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Chad.
I'll second Bob.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.